segment. Sticky fingers, sticky balls.
Yeah, it is kind of fitting that it happened with the White Sox after the whole Cowboy Joe incident with the Cardinals, kind of the first incident where something was removed from the game as they did the light version of enforcing the rule.
Where Joe took it
So
upon himself to start
Joe took it.
enforcing rules.
It's weird though. The game in this chart that I was referencing earlier, though, that game falls within that. It's so weird that it's even documented this way, but there is this like light period, so to speak.
Where they knew that it was coming.
We're asking umpires to look more closely at pitchers during the game. So I don't know. It was the same period when Karachek was literally wiping his glove and no one said anything. So whatever. I mean, you take it for what it's worth. But anyway, so Hector Santiago, ex-White Sox, came up through the organization, has had 2 stints with the team, was walking off the field in the 5th inning, and he made a little joke. He as he's walking off the mound, he stepped to the side and started laughing like, "Oh, please don't check me." Well, as they were checking him, they felt something sticky inside the underneath the like the wrist area of the glove. So he was ejected from the ball game. Now, I don't think that was that big of a deal because someone was warming in the pen and he's normally a reliever. So I think that was it for him anyway. So that part of it isn't a big deal. The part where it gets interesting is, and I believe Hector Santiago is, he said all he used was rosin on his arm. Within that moment of the game, you can see the ump talking to Scott Service, the manager of the Mariners, going like this and saying no. There's apparently a rule that Santiago was unaware of. I know I was unaware of because I don't read every rule in baseball, but the pitcher is not allowed to use rosin on their glove arm. So this is what Hector Santiago and Service say led to the problem. I have no reason not to believe that at this point in time. The part where it gets a little funnier, of course, this discussion goes on for far too long. Like the umps say you're ejected, just move on, Scott Service. Like you delayed the game, like you made the game longer by like 5 minutes easily. But when Steve Stone made a very funny comment, they brought the glove over to the authenticator.
The authenticator
is now in charge of handling any sticky substance issues.
Yeah.
And the authenticator took the glove and put it into what basically was a 13-gallon white
kitchen garbage bag.
And Steve Stone said, look, as they placed the glove in a hermetically sealed bag to make sure nothing happens to it on its way to the MLB offices. Like, I couldn't believe I was witnessing, and the bag looked like it had been used even. It was like, it wasn't like it was fresh out of a box or something. It looked like it just been there and been maybe used for other things. So this is the type of scrutiny, you're going to take something that could suspend a player for 10 games and just put it in a white garbage bag to send it off to MLB offices to inspect. I mean,
I have an answer for that. I can tell you exactly why they do that.
All right, go ahead.
Because they're not going to test the glove. They're not. It sounds like a joke, but they have already stated they're not doing any testing. And this is what I brought up last week. The umpire kicking him out was the judge, jury, and executioner in that situation. There is no further investigation. He is suspended for 10 games.
No, he's not. He appealed.
Well, and this is the other part of it that has been
which answered our question.
It's been misreported over and over again, including this week. Mullion Haw said it over and over again that how there's no appeal process. Well, he's appealing. So this has been communicated so poorly through Major League Baseball and throughout all sports media. Nobody understands anything about the process, and it might be changing as I speak. I don't even know. So he is appealing. I'm having trouble here with my microphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Shit, I can't hear you. Hold, please.
He's appealing.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. He is appealing, which
is something we didn't know.
Well,
I've read a new posting of the rules, and it says the normal appeal process is allowed.
But the problem is, basically, Major League Baseball just threw away his mitt. There's a reason why they put it in a garbage bag, because they're treating it as garbage. It is not going to be tested by them. All the rule says is if the umpire feels a sticky substance on his glove, he's out, and that's it. So this is where that appeal process that didn't exist until it suddenly existed is going to be put to the test. So I'm dying to hear how this works, what this appeal does. I really think my theory last week is that we'd never see an ejection. That Major League Baseball knew that this whole process was going to be so fucked up, they were never going to be able to enforce it. What they were hoping was they could scare enough pitchers into not using it,
which they have.
Yeah, and I think that's been effective. Then they did eject one pitcher, and that's Hector Santiago, who we've been talking about, who happens to be universally known as the nicest guy in baseball. He was out of baseball for coming into this season. His story is incredible. He literally sent out resumes and cover letters to all 30 major league teams, like trying to be a major league pitcher again. Finally, the Mariners took him up on, I guess the resume crossed the right person's desk, and they took him and put him on the team. So I think even now, so my theory is changing a little bit. Obviously, they did eject somebody for it, but they ejected a nice guy that they thought would just be a patsy, that would just go away. He wouldn't fight it. He would just be happy that he got to spend his time in the majors. Even when he was suspended, he would take his paycheck because it's a suspension with pay, as we've discussed. So I think this is starting to backfire now. Like they thought they could make an example of him and he wouldn't say anything. Well, now he is appealing suddenly. So this is going to be fascinating to see how this appeals process works. I haven't heard when the appeal is going to happen. He is still active because they did allow him to appeal. Eventually it's going to come to a head at some point. So we are definitely going to have a sticky fingers, sticky balls situation to talk about next week, once we learn what happens with that appeal. But literally that whole garbage bag thing is, they were treating it as garbage because they said they are not going to test anything. So it's not up to them. They're just saying it's not up to them to determine whether it was rosin or something else. They're just ignoring it and putting it in the garbage.